Hi, Alan. Thank you very much once again for joining me for these interesting chats around coaching. And as we agreed, we're chatting today a little bit about the benefits and the actual impact of coaching
Yeah.
and what that looks like. Um, and it's also sort of addressing some of the I'd say misconceptions of what coaching is and what people need to
Yeah.
understand about coaching is. It's not only just about achieving things. It's about the process of how you get there and what happens to both your mindset and your whole being. So I'll hand over to you, like always, to sort of start off the process and and give us a little bit of
Okay.
insight of what you believe.
Yeah. Okay. That's great. Thanks, CD. And just to echo your thoughts on that, it's great to be having another conversation. So yeah, this is an interesting topic: the key benefits and the coaching outcomes that people will derive from engaging in such a process. So, I think that in my own personal experience, I think that I have received coaching myself. And as a coach, I think it is a good practice to receive coaching when you can. In fact, the ICF, they recommend that you receive coaching at least once a year because it's around that principle of, to be a coach, a good coach, is that you need to be coached. Okay, so I can attest to some of the benefits of that, and therefore I think it is a worthwhile pursuit. And for me, it always keeps me certainly in track in terms of what I'm doing around various things, especially my career, and especially the kinds of aspirations that are currently in my sort of space that I can explore and start to get some diverse thinking and that kind of thing happening. So I think that's my personal kind of take on how it can benefit one. But then obviously you and we need to look at how will the client respond to that and what would be the key things that they would be looking for. So yeah, I think maybe we can just think through and maybe create even just a list of things that are possible here. What do you think?
No, I agree with you, and you know myself, I've also worked with several coaches a long time,
Mm,
along so ever since I've been qualified since 2009 at different phases
mm,
of my life, and
yeah,
what I find it's you find things that you should work on, and you find things that you should do, and you find
yeah,
things that surprise you actually that you didn't actually focus on because you're so busy in this daily sort of checklist life, and this
yes,
world is so fast right now with emails and all the social media channels and the way life
mm,
happens that you don't necessarily always slow down and think and I'll lead in with this sort of thing. It's very it's really creating that partnership of creating a space for yourself to slow down and create
mm,
clear thinking around what you actually want to be, and what you need to do to get there. And it's it's
yes,
it's really it's really taking a a big goal or a big ambition or a big purpose,
yes,
and making and narrowing it down to what needs to happen today to start moving towards it, and then
yes,
making it a lot more manageable.
yeah,
And people always almost people almost sometimes think that to achieve what I want to achieve in 20 years,
mm,
there's nothing I can do about it now, but I'll just work hard today, and I'll make sure I do the right things in what I do on in the moment, sort of, and it then becomes this cartwheel of or almost like hamster wheel of hard work, but not really moving in any direction. And I guess
yeah,
that's for me what a coaching process differentiates, from just being ambitious.
mm,
It just narrows it down, and it points you in the right direction, and then step by step you're going through this process of getting there. And that could take a lot of different forms. Sometimes for me, as an example, when I started in my first coaching experience, I wanted to have a little bit more of a balanced life. but in a very big way. But that transpired with me starting off prioritizing a Tuesday golf evening with my friends. And
Yes.
it was as simple as that, and it was as simple as committing to that. It was as simple as working on a little bit on my golf game, and it was as simple as building that relationship with my friends, because the intention was not just about the golf. It was about starting to create a balanced life, and that was really just almost the door that opened a lot
Yes.
of my opportunities to where I sit right now. So I guess it's always consistently working towards what your bigger life goals are, and your bigger things that you want to work on in a systematic and a structured way that becomes positive for you. And
Yes.
I'll hand over to you now, but that has an impact on your mindset, and
Yeah.
the way you think, and the way you are, and the way you
Yeah.
think about making your decisions. But that's sort of from both a client point of view and my point of view. I guess that's what coaching means to me in a big way,
Yeah.
and the impact of
And
that.
and I think you've kind of placed it in quite an interesting perspective, because what we focus on is a moving target. So if you think about, so what were you focusing on a year ago, and now what are you focusing on? And that, some people may just must maintain consistency, but I think for most of us, with a pandemic and with all the exogenous factors that basically are part of this kind of global situation, is that it does automatically create change, which you're either going to have to try and deal with, or you're going to have to do something to be able to manage that change in a positive way. And I found something very interesting. It was almost a little bit of a what can I say, a lesson in how this moving target works. At the moment, I'm doing a lot of assessments on other coaches who have been trained, and they are obviously going, demonstrating the coaching skills. So I assess those skills. And what they have to do is actually do goal setting with me. And the interesting thing about it is that I have noticed that there is, there isn't a consistent kind of focus that comes out of those assessments that I do. Because I keep it real, and sometimes I experience that something has happened, which has created a need to look at something else, and that I find interesting in terms of how we approach what we're going to be focusing on, and how we would get the benefit of doing that often enough to be able to get us really focused on what we want to do.
And that sort of speaks to, I mean, and that, like you say, it's a consistent evolution. I mean,
Yeah.
the potential is almost limitless. And what
Mm.
and I've got a few clients that I work with that almost work with me on a permanent basis, because they've realized the value of creating that space of where you just change your angles a little bit every now and then to look at the world that you live in, and so on. And through that you find things that are not, that you can add on almost to your life. It's not only just about working on what your current reality is and what you have surrounding you right now. It's working on things that you didn't necessarily believe you can achieve,
Yeah.
and you didn't necessarily think that you've always, and I use that weight of the glass metaphor that you sent me, where holding a glass in front of you might be a light, it might be easy exercise, might be light, but hold that glass for 4, 5, 6, 7 hours, that glass becomes very heavy. And that's the same thing sort of with that coaching allows you to do, is to take those things. And if I reflected on, if you're in a space where you feel that you're not quite where you want to be, you're not working, you're not smoothly working towards something, you sort of feel disconnected with
Yes.
you have a hard time, you might have a job that in the societal norm
Yeah.
seems very successful, but you yourself get up every morning going, that what is this that is what's holding me back? What's burdening me? I'm doing well. I'm driving a nice car. I'm doing all these things right, but it's not landing with me 100%. And there's that weight of the glass. The longer you wait for that to work on that element, the heavier
Yeah.
that burden will become, and the more of the more of a negative impact it will have when that thing drops one day, and you reach that point where you're not quite in your happy place. And so why wait for that dramatic shift to happen when you can consistently be working towards something that you want to do right now? And I get back almost to that thing. If you start something now, that might take you 4 or 5 years to do, in 4 or 5 years time you've done it. But it's better to start that thing now and then rather be 5 years older and I have not done anything at all. So that's where, and I think that's why a lot of successful people actually have coaches, is they realize that while the responsibility to do things are your own, the ability to have a mirror held up to you and to create, to have somebody sitting in front of you that listens for potential, that mirrors your thinking to you, and that helps you create a discipline to work towards what you want to do, is much more beneficial than trying to do it by yourself. That's that for me is where as someone that's been coached and as a coach, makes the biggest difference, because that takes up a lot of forms, and working towards something creates a mindset that of growth, of learning, and of being aware of what you're doing, and almost translates to, there's no failure there, there's only feedback. So life, success is never final, and failure is never fatal. So that's really what coaching and the benefits of coaching means to me.
Yes. And I think that, I must say that we're talking about successful people and, well-known figures that actually receive coaching. And an example for me was a former colleague of mine who was also in the coaching business, who told me about the fact that our president, who he had sat next to at a school event, and asked him, what do you do? You had the chat that you have when you meet people for the first time. And he basically said, I'm a coach. So our president said to him, well, I have, through my career and through the things I've been doing, I have always had a coach. I've been working with a coach for years. And, some people can raise their hands now and say, oh, well, that wasn't very successful. But at the end of the day, I think it does say a lot in terms of the way that people approach things in their careers and in their lives. And therefore, I think that's not a shabby thing to be able to say. And also the humility of saying, you know what, I don't believe that I can always do this myself. I think it would be a smart choice is to have somebody who can allow me to really think through things, to be able to process things without being judged. And I think that is probably one of the most important benefits of being able to receive coaching from someone.
Yeah, and I like that, without being judged, because as a coach, you're sitting in front of somebody, and you're listening to them without any bias. You're listening to them without any filters. You're just basically purely listening to the person and what really is within the person. You're also listening to what you might see as a limiting belief or a societal structure that might have been formed in somebody's thinking, and you challenge the factuality of that actual belief, if factuality is a word, but
yes.
You're allowing that person to break away from what necessarily has been programmed, because your thoughts are not your own, and you're allowing that person to be free and be themselves, and tap into their own innate wisdom to get there. But just in closing, Allan, so what would you say in summary is your key insights from today in this conversation that we've just had?
Yeah, well, I think that I would like to take something from the legal profession. And, in the legal profession, they often refer to things like rights and obligations. Okay. So we have rights, and with that comes an obligation. So I think that if you use that akin to coaching, you can say, yes, you have the right to realize the best possible life that you want, achieving everything that you want. However, there are obligations in terms of how you do that. The obligation, I don't want to mention them, what those are, but you know what I'm saying, that it doesn't come without the obligations. So yes, it's a two-sided coin, and that probably is the thing I would mention that kind of really seals that for me.
Yeah, so yeah, and what for me, what you're saying there is it's really, yes, it's still not the coach's responsibility to reach its success.
Yes,
We're just your
exactly.
partner, and we're basically the guide, and you're the person that will stand on the pedestal with the gold medal at the end of the day of breaking a world record,
Yeah.
or you're the person that'll be running the successful business, or you're the person that will have the career that gives you the satisfaction with connected with your purpose. But at the same time, it is still your responsibility, and
Correct.
part of that responsibility is why not work with somebody that'll raise that bar for you, that'll
Yes.
raise that level, that'll stretch you a little bit, that'll hold you accountable for achieving
Yes.
that in a structured, well thought out, and a smart way, and that's really it's an uncomfortable process, but it's very satisfying, and it's deep learning, and it really changes
Yeah.
people's thinking, and I always find
Yeah.
that people, uh, I rate my coaching success almost as to how people handle challenges as they go
Mm.
along,
Yes.
in reaching some of these ambitious, big, dynamic
Yeah.
goals, is is
Yeah.
is is just overcoming certain obstacles that might be in the beginning. You might
Yeah.
see a massive impact on something, a challenge that person might have, and that might take a lot of coaching in the beginning to get through that. But then
Yes.
at the same time, as you go through the process, some of these what was seen as big challenges now just become normal things along the
Yeah.
way, and these big
Absolutely.
massive things then become the challenges. And
Yeah.
it's to your point of it's a journey. It's not a destination. to
Correct.
so that becomes bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's a never ending. The only choice people have to stop it is the choice that they make for themselves, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Perfectly put. And that is right. And the only thing I can say that really strikes me about what you said now is that it it cannot be a worthwhile journey unless there is some discomfort involved.
Mhm. Mhm. And that I find that discomfort sometimes, that discomfort forms itself into where your gaps are.
Yeah.
I find, like, if you redefine the imposter syndrome, or these limiting beliefs as areas where your brain is just basically trying to save energy, and it's actually telling you, look, this is what you don't know. This is an area that you
Yeah.
have to work on. So let's work on that.
Yeah.
And that also is very powerful in that, coaching, because it's not your thoughts. You're not sitting there with your own thoughts late at night in the middle of the night trying to answer questions, to which the answers you don't have.
Mm.
You're allowed to ask those questions or speak about those questions that you might not have in partnering with a coach, and through that you just create your solutions. But Allan,
We can
we dive
wax lyrical.
we can dive along in final thoughts for some time.
Yeah.
But I'm conscious that people are busy, and I'd like to
Yeah.
invite people to contact us and talk
Yes.
about this further, and if anything resonated with them,
Mm.
we both host discovery calls, for to have
Absolutely.
people experience coaching before we even start the coaching process. So
Yeah.
that's, it's beneficial to reach out to us, and if
Yeah.
anything resonated with anybody, they must they must feel free to reach out to us and speak to us. That's what we hear. It's what we do. It's what we do to help people along. And you
Yes,
know, that's for me is a very satisfying and a great thing to do. So yeah,
absolutely.
okay.
Fantastic. Thank you, CD. It's been a really insightful time
Thank you.
talking about this. Thank you very
And
much.
then and enjoy your little holiday you've got after today. And thank you.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna. Thank you, CD.